What I've been doing is, instead of using a real estate agent to send out my letter of intents, because I have a lot of letter of intents, I've gone online and just seen how many homes, and where they are listed at, and how many days on the market they've been there. Because the more days on market means, um, it means something's wrong with the home. Like, it's unappealing. There's a lot of repairs to be made, and it's priced wrong. And sometimes sellers who have a home on the market for way too long that hasn't sold, they're willing to go down the price to get rid of it, right? So I look for homes that have been on the market for more than 100 days, because typically it's up to 90 days that you want to sell. Anything past that, you're having issues. But I found out which homes I'm looking at, and um, I I found them on Realtor.com. You just sort all the listings, current active listings for single families and multifamilies. You just sort them with listing date, and then you go all the way to the back page, which is page, depending on how many listings there are in that area. Which I did Fall River, and I found a lot. So I did Fall River. I go back to the first page, which is page 25, with the oldest property, which has been on the market for over a year. Now that just means that something's clearly wrong, and the agent's lazy. The agent doesn't really want to work on that thing, because a lot of agents will list a bunch of properties, but there's one that he wants to work on more than the others because he thinks the others won't sell. Because an agent can't do things on his own. An agent has to follow the buyer's or the seller's orders. If a seller wants to sell at this much, that's how much you have to list it at, even if it's unreasonable and it doesn't make any sense, right? An agent will put in his 2 cents, but ultimately it's up to the seller. So I found all the properties that have been on the market for more than 100 days, and there was a lot. Every property I clicked next, it went starting from like 399 days, and then the next property was still 399 days, and then the next one dropped down to 380 days. So it took me a while to get through all of them that have been on the market for over 100 days. But once I found them, what I did was, I put them on an Excel sheet, and then I copy and pasted them into the software I have that tells you who the owner is and where his mailing address is. The owner is the person who holds uh, the note to the home, if he owns if he has a mortgage on it, or if he has the mortgage completely paid off. It's title. He owns the title to the property. Yeah. So I find out who the real owner is and his mailing address, and then I go on Zillow, because Realtor.com, it's so inaccurate. One time I did use a real estate agent, and I gave her a bunch of properties that I wanted her to send letter of intents to. I gave her all the letters I had, and I told her, listen, I want to send letter of intents out to these 12 properties in Brockton. It turned out that all of them, almost all of them, had just sold like months ago. And I go, that can't be. They're still active on Realtor.com. So on Realtor.com, they're still active, but Realtor.com doesn't get updated the way it should be. So now what I have to do is go on Zillow to make sure that they're still active. Zillow will tell you whether it's on the market or not currently. Zillow's much more better at keeping you updated. So it's a couple things you have to do. I have to go on Realtor.com, find the properties, and I always on my Excel sheet, I always put down the location of the property. So on one column I have property address, and on one column I make sure it says Fall River on all of them. You can do that just by copy pasting the whole column. And on one column I have the MLS number, just because you want to make sure you have that on. And then the next row you have, because it's a letter of intent Excel sheet, you want to find out how much you want to offer on your letter of intent. So then on one column you have how much it's listed at. How much does the seller want to sell it for? You put that down next to the property that you're currently looking at. And then The Excel sheet I have is one that Tim Chafin gave me, which has formulas in it, which will determine how much you should offer, which is a great help, and I love it. But really, you should offer something that you're embarrassed to offer. That's a good way of doing it. So that's a saying. If you're not embarrassed of what you offer, then you offer too much. So maybe offer half. Maybe offer half. Who knows? You're just doing a letter of intent. You're not binded to it, right? But anyway, once I plug in how much they're asking for, the formulas will determine based on how much it is the listed price is. It will determine whether it's a low income area or middle income area or high income area based on price adjustments, and then it'll shoot out a number that it thinks you should offer. But then you round that number so it doesn't look like you use the formula on it, because a lot of real estate agents will catch you on it. Right. So you also want to put down the days on market that's been on there for, and you want to put down how much square footage it has, things like that. Well, no, not square footage. I'm sorry. You don't want to spend too much time on a property. But once you do that, then you copy and paste who the owner was in a separate Excel sheet, because this is just a letter of intent Excel sheet that you want to work numbers out. Right. You want to find out who you want to send these letter of intents to. So that's what the other Excel sheet is for. You want to find out who the owner is, just in case, if it goes off market, you'll still be able to send a letter of intent to them. But then you want to find out who the real estate agent is. And I use Zillow for that still, because Zillow, like I said, is much more updated than Realtor.com. So again, the process is you go Realtor.com, you find the property, you put in your inputs, and then it'll shoot out an output in your Excel sheet. And then you round that number up, so now you have what you should offer on your letter of intent. And once you have your offer, now you have to create your letter of intent. So it's easy as finding one online, or you can ask your local investors for a copy. It's something that usually you can find easily. If you need one from me, just ask me and I'll send one to you. Just ask me to send one to you via, I don't know, I'll give you guys my Facebook or something like that, and you guys can inbox me from there. Alright, cool. So anyway, yeah, so you start creating your letters of intent. So the way you make your letters of intent is you have a format, you have a rough draft, and you have underlined spaces where you enter everything you need to enter. So you enter the property address, copy paste it in there. Then you enter the amount you're willing to buy it for, you enter that there. And then you want to put in your signature. So write your signature on a piece of paper. So like right here, so you have your signature here. You take a picture with your phone or whatever, but with the scanner app, you want to scan that, your signature. And once you have a signature scanned and you make it look official, like with a white background, you send that to yourself via email and download it from your email and adjust it so that it's like a good size, that it'll look like you signed it. So it's like an electronic signature. But now you can copy and paste it onto any Word document you need your signature on. So now you want to put in property address, you want to put in how much you want to offer, and you want to put in your signature. Those are the main things you need. And the date. Well, I would rather handwrite the date, but for now, don't worry about it. So now you make a separate one for every property you need to send one to. So I have a bunch of letter of intents for every property that I looked for. Okay, now you have to find out who to send the letter of intents to. So for properties that are listed, you need to send them to the real estate agent, because that's what a real estate agent is for. They're the people that you negotiate with. Like that's the reason why a seller has a real estate agent. Okay, so they're acting as like the attorney de facto, not attorney at law, if that makes sense. But the way you find who the real estate agent is, the listing agent, because when you go to Zillow, you'll find like a bunch of different agents because they're marketing themselves. They're actually paying Zillow so that they can have their names up there. Either they are themselves or the brokers are, who knows. But usually it's the very first agent you see at the top that is the listing agent, but it'll say it right next to it. Listing agent is Mario Paluzzo or whatever. So what I do is I highlight the name and the number, copy, and then paste it on my Excel sheet, because I'll have a column that says listing agent, and one column property address, and one column MLS number, and one column homeowner. So I'll paste the listing agent with the phone number, and I'll use my software to find out who the who the homeowner is. And by the way, the software is called RESS, Real Estate Success Software. If you're wondering what it is, it's very useful. Otherwise, you'd have to physically go look for title owners, and you'd have to go to the county office or something like that. So it's a big help. Anyway, so you copy and paste the listing agent's name with number, and then you copy paste the homeowner. And you can also see if you can find the homeowner's number. For that, I just use 411.com. Sometimes they give you the number, sometimes they don't. It's worked for me a bunch of times, and some people I just couldn't find any information on. So another column I have on my Excel sheet is whether the listing is actually active or not. So like I said, Realtor.com doesn't update quick enough like Zillow does, or accurately. So I check on Zillow to see if it's active or off the market. If it's off the market, I'll just say it's off the market, so there's no listing agent, but there's a homeowner. So you might want to just send the letter of intent to the homeowner. Right. So once you have a list of the agents and all that, you want to alphabetize your list based on agent, because you'll notice that there's plenty of agents that have multiple listings under their name. So Mario Paluzzo was your first agent for the first property, but after doing like 20 properties, he has another listing under him, and you might forget about it. And when you call him up and you're telling him you want to send a letter of intent, you just mentioned one property when he had another property. You could send him a letter of intent too. So now you alphabetize the Excel sheet according to agent's name, but you do it in a manner that when you alphabetize, I'm sorry why I can't say that word, but when you alphabetize the agent's names, everything else is organized as accordingly, right? Because there's a certain way that if you alphabetize, it'll just alphabetize the agents, and it won't adjust everything the way it should adjust. It'll just leave it the same way, so everything's now disorganized. So you have to go to the menu and make sure that you would custom adjust. You have to go to the Excel menu and say, I want to customize my adjustments, right? So you want to sort by alphabet, just this row, and everything else will, adjust accordingly. So now you have everything organized so that you can see how many properties an agent has, right? So when you call them, you know how many properties to ask about, whether there's been an offer accepted, or if you can still send an offer, and if there's a pending offer, if they take backup offers. You want to get one out, you want to shoot one out, you just want to send them to them, right? So that they can consider it, right? So what I do is, now I have the number of the agent, but let me end the video right here so I can continue it on the next one. My next video will probably be my last one, right? So yeah.